Once again is in a helicopter above Port-au-Prince. Anderson, we see you now. Tell us what you are able to see below.
Well, I can tell you we just landed at the Port-au-Prince airport. I flew in a helicopter with Victor Diaz-Barua, the Minister of Public Works for the Dominican Republic, who's been sent by the President to try to assess what needs that the Dominican Republic can fill. Yeah, I got to tell you, I just flew over Port-au-Prince, and seeing it for the first time, it's a city I know well. It's incredibly shocking. The presidential palace, as you know, parts of it have collapsed. The cupolas on the front of it have collapsed. There is smoke rising from some parts of the city. People are congregating on corners in public parks where a number of people obviously have slept through the night. I passed over City Soleil, a city of shanty towns built one on top of the other. There is damage there as well. It is an eerie scene. Many people just kind of standing around on the streets, not really sure what to do or where to go, and for many there is nowhere to go. There, as I said, it seems like the heaviest damage that I could see was in the downtown part around the presidential palace. Some major buildings there, some very tall buildings, clearly having collapsed. There's pancakes, the floors one on top of another. There's very little heavy earth-moving equipment in place here. I also flew on the chopper with a man named Manuel Estrella, whose company, which is doing work for the IDB, the International Development Bank. They have sent in shipments of bulldozers that they have to work on their private construction projects. But I'm not seeing a lot on the streets here right now. People really just milling around. It is very hectic. It is confusing. People aren't sure where to go. The scene at the airport is oddly calm. We were one of the first helicopters to arrive here this morning. There's now, just as I've been speaking, about 2 small planes which have arrived with a number of relief workers, some members of the International Red Cross and others. But it is a very confused situation. These are very much the early moments of this, and people are just slowly starting to arrive. Aid is yet to arrive. I know there's a lot coming in the pipeline. I've talked to the World Food Program and others. They're trying to get stuff here. But at this point, it is early hours. And you could see from the air, what was so eerie is you could see from the air people gathered around collapsed buildings, clearly trying to rescue people inside, trying to see if there's anyone trapped beneath the rubble. But it is largely just neighborhoods banding together, trying to help one another. It doesn't look like there's any kind of coordinated relief effort in terms of rescue at this point. It is very much neighborhood by neighborhood, people digging through the rubble.
Wow, Anderson, I just wonder so much. I know you got in by helicopter. Obviously, that requires a very different type of landing because we're still trying to find out more about the aid you speak of and whether or not some of these planes can get in. Of course, the hospital ship we've been talking about, the cutter that is already there in position. When you look around, Anderson, and again, I realize you just got on the ground, are people carrying any water bottles? I mean, is there even the slightest bit of food or water, best that you can tell?
I really don't know what the situation is. I've been told the Montana Hotel, which is the main hotel, has been destroyed. But again, I have not seen it with my own eyes. I did not fly over Pétionville, but I've been told there is widespread damage there as well. That's a mountainous area, so we would expect damage there, but it's a very well-built home. And the Montana was a very well-built hotel. One of the problems with so much of the construction here is that they don't use reinforced concrete. There's no steel rebars in the concrete, so buildings literally just collapse on whoever is inside. And I can tell you the situation in the air is chaotic at best. The control tower, I'm told, here at the airport is not functioning. So pilots are sort of coordinating flights by themselves. We came very close to a mid-air collision right over the presidential palace with a small aircraft, a fixed-wing aircraft. Came very close to our helicopter. We literally took evasive maneuvers at the last moment and then quickly decided to just get down on the ground because the situation in the air is confusing. So in terms of coordinating, large-scale aircraft, which is what they're going to need here, while the runway looks okay to the human eye, the control situation in the air is very dicey.
Yeah, understood very well. That's what we're trying to get the best assessment of whether or not there is any functioning radar whatsoever that's being able to be used, if not from that control tower, perhaps somewhere else where they can guide these planes and helicopters and everything else that's going to be needed into the area directly. Anderson, what's next for you?
Well, we got to figure out where to go from here. I mean, we literally just landed. I got in the helicopter by myself, as I said, with the Minister of Public Works and Manuel Estrella, who's president of this Estrella Construction Company. They were nice enough to give me a lift. They're going to be returning to try to coordinate Dominican relief that's waiting at the border. My team has also just arrived as fixed-wing aircraft. I see them now walking in and checking in through immigration. Believe it or not, immigration still seems to be functioning here at this airport. So the bureaucracy, at least here at the airport, is still in place. We're going to try to get some vehicles and just start telling people stories and go out and see where we can help and see what needs to be done.
All right, Anderson Cooper, sure do appreciate that. Of course, we'll be watching and hearing from you throughout the travels there. Anderson Cooper, thank you. Appreciate that. The major